Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod. We have Josh Steimle for a second edition. He's founder at MWI Pando Partners. He's also a founder at Published Author and a published author. Canvas PR as well, serial entrepreneur, cool guy. Round two for this podcast. He had a lot of value to deliver last time that we spoke. He's also a trail runner, skater, husband, a dad. We've been talking about this next race, a 50 miler. Love ultra running, love the mindset gains that you get from that. So today's going to be pretty exciting. Podpires presenting that one. That is my podcasting company. If you want to start monetize a podcast, go to podpire.com. We have a free ebook and a masterclass showing you how to make money with podcasts from AdSense, sponsors, and lead generation. Josh, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself again and what you're up to nowadays.
Charles, thanks for having me back on. It's a pleasure to be back with you again and chat a bit. Oh, so what's going on these days? Like you said in the intro, I've got my finger in a bunch of things. My main thing is MWI, my agency. I took back over it a year ago after 10 years of having partners run it. So that's been interesting to step back in and really get involved in the day-to-day again and start changing things up again. And then Canvas PR has been going well. That's kind of a sister company to MWI. MWI is digital marketing, so it's SEO, paid search. We're building websites, doing dev and stuff. And then Canvas PR is PR, and we get entrepreneurs and executives into Forbes Inc. Entrepreneur, all sorts of different business publications there. And then Published Author is kind of on pause a little bit. That's my book coaching company. And I was running masterminds and group coaching sessions. I still do individual book coaching, but I'm not doing the group coaching right now. It was a little bit much with everything else going on. And of course, I'm working on my own books. I've got a bunch of those in process. And then, trail running and trying to be a good dad and husband and family guy and skating and all that stuff.
Right. Your goals for 2025. So lose 50 pounds, read 50 books, run 50 miles. I love that. Swim 5,000 yards, 50 skateboard tricks on your birthday. And bonus goal, learn or relearn 50 skateboard tricks. So these are pretty ambitious goals. How advanced are you in the accomplishment of these goals now that we are almost done with January?
Yeah, well, I'm turning 50 this May. So I thought, everybody says age is a number, but that number can get stuck in your head and play tricks on you sometimes. And I'm trying to convince myself I can still do all this stuff. And so that's how I came up with this 5 by 50 set of goals. And they're going well. The swimming one, 5,000 yards. I think I could do that today if I had to, maybe not comfortably, but I could make it. It would take me about 2 hours. I'm not a super fast swimmer, but I could do it. And that's about 3 miles, 5,000 yards, 3 miles or so. So that one's going pretty well. The book one is the easiest one because I read a ton of books anyway. And I always tell people that I read 75 to 125 books a year. And I started wondering, I wonder if I'm lying about that. I've never really counted it. I've never really kept track, but I think that's about what it is. So I set this goal and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to track it and see how many I get done by May. And I started this back in November or something. And I'm already up to 35 books. I'm way ahead on that one. So I'm okay, I was pretty accurate in my estimate of reading 100, 125 books a year. So that one will be a piece of cake. And the 50 miler, I'm feeling pretty okay about that one. I think I couldn't do it today, but it's the end of January. I'm doing the race in April. I've basically got about 3.5 months of training to go. I think I'll be able to do it. I think I'll be able to finish. I don't think I'm going to have a good time, but I think I'll be able to finish. And then the skateboard trick one, that's probably going to be the hardest one for me. I have a 14-year-old son. He skates. We go skating together. But doing 50 tricks, I don't want to do easy tricks. I want to do real tricks. And so that one's going to be a little bit tougher for me I've got a list of 70 tricks that I think I can do. or at least I've got a shot at doing, but doing them all in one day is going to be tough. So that's the one that's scaring me the most.
Okay, so first thing first, do you want me to keep you accountable for the 5,000 yards and reach that one pretty soon?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I should have that done within the next month, I think.
Okay. Do you need accountability or you're good?
I'm pretty accountable on most stuff. It's actually probably the skateboard tricks. That's the one that's going to be the hardest because it's easy to let that slide. The swimming
Sure.
one, it's built into my. It's like I have habits for a lot of these things. So I mean,
Right.
I go swimming every week. I go running every week. I read books every day. The skateboard one, it's really easy to be like, oh, that's a luxury. I don't need to do that. I can, I'll fit it in whenever. It's like not part of my routine. And so that ends up being the one where I go a week and a half and I'm like, oh, I haven't even been out skating at all.
Right, right. Well, for the swimming, just invite me in your calendar, like whenever you want to do it, and yeah, I'll just like keep you accountable for that one. Because 2.8 miles pretty hard. Yeah, even if you do train for it in one go, right? It's bigger than Ironman distance. It's pretty long. I've swum 10K from Cancun to Cozumel some time ago, and that was pretty intense. Now, also looking at these goals, I can see that the skateboarding one could potentially fuck up all your other ones because if you get injured
That's
on
true.
that one, that would mess up like most of your goals. The losing weight, the swimming one, the running one. So that would be pretty dramatic, right? So I think I would like
Yeah,
prioritize
the
or
trail running could mess it all up too, though. About 2 years ago, I blew out my ankle trail running. I tripped on a rock and
yes.
my ankle wobbled both ways, both sides blew out. And it took me the better part of the last 2 years to fully recover from that.
Right.
So, yeah, life's
Yeah,
dangerous.
when I started in trail running on a Spartan race, I think I like blew my ankles like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, yeah, not gonna finish this beast, this Spartan race beast. But in the end, I did finish. I think the culprit to that was like my Nike shoes, which are good to do like time, but like if you want a stable shoe, you've probably heard about the Hoka, right? And the
Yes.
training, they're so good for
Yeah.
that.
Have you tried ultras?
No, but they're on my list. I wanted to buy the Ultras boots, and the UTMB shoes. Yeah,
I love the
pretty
ultras. I
badass.
used I used to write for a trail running magazine and they gave me 35 pairs of shoes to try out. And I was
Whoa.
already running in ultras and I compared every trail running shoe to the ultras and just nothing was even close. Hokas are
Wow.
the only one that I feel like, okay, that's pretty close, but I love ultras. I just
Dude,
can't
I'll
run
try
anything
them.
else.
Yeah, I'll try them for sure with your recommendation. Now, you've also spent some time in Hong Kong. Not so long ago, I think you have an office there. I love Hong Kong. I've spent 4 months of my life there. Why did you open an office there? And yeah, what's new with the agency?
Yeah, so I opened an office there in basically 2013, and it's still up and running. We have a team out there. We've got about 7, 8 people in the office there. And the reason why I opened it actually has nothing to do with the business. My wife and I and my kids, we moved to Hong Kong because we were planning to adopt our daughter, another child from China. And we wanted to be close to China and we wanted to make trips into China and learn about language, food, culture, because we were adopting an older child and we wanted to understand her background and where she was coming from. And so we thought we'd be there for a year or two and I would just work remotely, but we ended up being in Hong Kong for about 3.5 years.
Well,
And so I was able to get that office going there and find somebody to run it. And then we moved into mainland China for 2 years and didn't find our daughter, moved back to the US. Then we found our daughter, brought her home. She's been with us for 5 years now. She's just off to college, just starting college. And the office is still up and running. So that was kind of a side benefit of moving there for our family.
man, that's really inspiring. What are your thoughts on the current argument, if you want, about DeepSeek vs OpenAI and China vs US AI arms race?
I'm waiting for more details to come out. I mean, it seems there's some in the news today. There are people speculating that they hacked into OpenAI and stole a bunch of their stuff. And so it's like, did they really do what they're claiming to have done? I don't feel like we really know yet. It's still so new. But I do think I'm a big believer that everything can be done a lot better, faster, cheaper. And I think Elon buying Twitter and then letting 80%, 90% of the workforce go, and everything's fine at Twitter. If anything, it's working better than it was before. And now Facebook, Meta, and other companies are looking at and saying, hey, maybe we need to cut headcount. I think it's possible to get a lot more done than a lot of people think. But when you have a lot of money, it's easy to just throw more bodies at a problem and say, well, we'll just hire a bunch more people and we'll get more stuff done, right? There's a great book out there called The Mythical Man Month, and it talks about how with development teams, if you throw more people at it, you actually go slower and slower. And there's kind of an optimum number of developers for a project to move as quickly as possible. And so with DeepSeek, I'm not too surprised that it could be done. I'm sure it could be done better, faster, cheaper, but I'm still a little bit suspicious that it's not real. I've seen billion-dollar companies that claim to have products, and then I had a friend at a certain company. It's worth over $1 billion. They claimed to have a certain technology, and in reality, they were going in, they were pitching clients with a PowerPoint that made it look like they actually had a product that they hadn't even developed yet. And so, I mean, obviously DeepSeek is not a PowerPoint, but I kind of wonder what's really going on there. Is it really running on the chips that they claim it's running on? Did it really cost as little as they said it cost? And so I'm going to wait and see what more details come out.
Yeah, my opinions on it. First, most of the folks that claim to have an opinion on it didn't even try it. Then we see all the PR bullshit, people trying to get views, right? Oh my God, brutal latest news. DeepSeek is replacing everything. It's not, like ChatGPT is still a way better product with voice features, and you can build GPTs in there. It learns better, takes your data, just a better product altogether. So I'm just still not understanding it. Now, you mentioned Elon, right? Like, I think the job cutting part of it is great from an entrepreneurial perspective. I think it's bad from a humanitarian perspective, which is an altogether different topic. But I think Twitter has developed a bunch of cool features, right, with these engineers, but they totally failed to focus on one thing, which is improving the algorithm. A staggering example nowadays is that I'm not liking all the conspiracy theory going on Twitter stuff, but it keeps on referring me to Alex Jones type of guy and Elon. And even if I mention 10 times or more that I don't want to see these posts, it keeps popping back in my feed, right? It seems pretty terrible. So what are your thoughts on this? And also, if you can comment on the latest Elon PR, what have you observed there?
Yeah. So, I mean, Twitter first. Yeah. The algorithm, I don't know. I don't know exactly what they're doing over there. I'm happy with the content that I get, but I'm kind of into conspiracy theories. I don't follow Alex Jones, but I love a good conspiracy theory. But so I don't know if I'm their target audience or what. Like, I'm kind of getting the same stuff I was getting before. So on a personal level, I don't see an issue with it, but I know a lot of people don't like what they're getting over there. So I think they'll figure that out. I think Elon's a smart guy. I think he puts smart people in charge. I think they'll figure out a model that's going to work. I just saw today that Amazon's restarting advertising on Twitter. And so maybe some of those advertisers are coming back that left a year or so ago after Elon bought it. So we'll see how that goes. But I just think if you look at Elon's track record, this is a guy who gets stuff done, and he gets impossible stuff done. So is he going to figure out something with this? I think he'll figure it out. Maybe it's not going to look like what Twitter looks like today, but I think he's going to figure some way to make that a valuable company again. As far as this whole PR thing with Elon, I mean, we're talking about the so-called Nazi salute stuff and then saying stuff the day after. I mean, one thing Elon and Trump definitely have in common is they both just do and say whatever apparently they feel like doing and saying, and they don't really seem to care what anybody thinks. And no, I don't think Elon was making a Nazi salute. I don't think he intended to make a Nazi salute. Whether it went through his mind at the moment, like, gee, I'm putting my hand out in this way, and a lot of people are probably going to think I'm making a Nazi salute. I don't know. I can only speculate as to whether he kind of caught himself in the moment and realized that he was going to cause this PR debacle for himself. I think even if he knew that that was going to happen, he probably would have said, I don't care. If people want to think it's something, whatever, I don't care. So, but looking at this from a PR standpoint, there's that saying that no PR is bad PR. And depending on what your objectives are, that could be true. But I can't see how this really helps him in any way. I mean, certainly gets his news in the or his name in the news cycle, but how does that benefit him? I don't know. Does he sell more Teslas? Does he launch more rockets? Does he get more users on X? I mean, I don't see any way that this benefits him. It seems like he would go out of his way to avoid anything that could be misconstrued as something negative. But again, he just seems to be somebody who just doesn't really care what anybody thinks. And so I don't see the PR benefit. I see only downside for him, but maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, I don't think it helped him, but just being affiliated with Trump, Tesla's stock is at an all-time high, and I can put myself in his shoes, and definitely my emotions would be greatly influenced by the stock of my company. Whether these CEOs tell it or not, right? The truth is, at least 15% of their well-being and their emotions is derived by that stock. So he just got overly excited. um I think he is so dumb EQ wise, like we tend to think of Elon as a smart guy, but he is so dumb, man, on the EQ side of things and trying to understand how psychology works and so forth. um I maybe like a PR advisor, for example. Zuckerberg did PR very well, right? Like he really pivoted, and I think he's definitely doing it well, and he's not clumsy. What do you think of his new PR branding strategy as a more MMA accessible guy?
I don't know. It looks like a joke to me. I mean, when he showed up on Rogan's show and it's like the hair, the muscles, the tone of everything, I'm like, what happened to this guy? Like, who got a hold of him and what happened? But it's interesting, these people, how, I mean, we assume that somebody who's successful, who's out there in the public eye a lot, that you kind of assume before you hear them speak, like they must be good public speakers. They must be good at presenting themselves. They must have charisma. And I haven't met Elon, I haven't shaken his hand, but I was at a conference in Hong Kong once when he showed up back in 2013, and I saw him. And my first thought was, this guy's really awkward. I mean, he's not very good at speaking. He stumbles a lot with his words. There's a lot of and thinking, and like he's not what you would call a convincing public speaker. And then a couple of years later, I did have the opportunity to meet Richard Branson and talk with him. Super awkward, like very. I asked him a very softball question, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know. I'll get back to him." I was like, "I thought you would have something great off the top of your head," and very awkward and kind of like stumbling in his speech. And then I see Zuckerberg. I mean, we've seen Zuckerberg in front of Congress testifying. He looks like a robot. He did seem more
Million.
personable on Rogan's show and lately, but it still it doesn't strike me as super sincere. I feel like he's been a little bit disingenuous in his support of free speech. But I mean, he said all this stuff about free speech 5 years ago, and then he did all sorts of censoring during the COVID time. And so I don't have a lot of confidence that Zuckerberg's being sincere or real with us. With Elon, at least I feel like he's saying what he really thinks, whether you like it or not. I feel like he's sincere. But with Zuckerberg, I still feel like the jury's out, and I don't quite trust him yet.
It's so fascinating, like see like or diverging opinions, right, from how we consume content, but also like our existing mental models of how we consume that information and how we make judgments on these things, right? Like that's a fascinating part of humans and this world. Personally, on your side, how do you consume your information nowadays? Because you mentioned that you read a bunch of books. On my side, I used to listen to podcasts, then I transitioned to reading Wikipedia, which tends to be a bit more factual. And nowadays, I just brainstorm with ChatGPT all the time and all these AIs, and I prompt them the right way to try to be more factual. So, how do you consume your information and how do you digest it?
I read a lot of books. I read a lot of articles. I watch a lot of videos. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I consume a lot of social media. And I talk to a lot of people. So it's kind of everything I can get. And I don't read books. I mean, I do read books because I hope that they'll help me in my business, my life, etc. But I really read books because I just enjoy reading books. I would read books regardless of anything else. So I was listening, or I saw a clip of Hormozy talking the other day, and he was talking about two types of knowledge. Can't remember what the first one was. The second one was procedural knowledge. But basically, he was saying there's like book knowledge, and then there's experience, how to get stuff done knowledge. And he was saying you can read 100 books on how to run a better business. But if you pick up the phone and you make 50 phone calls to potential clients, you're going to learn a lot more from those phone calls about how to run your business than from reading all those books that tell you how to read a business. And I fully agree with that 100%. And yet I still will read 100 books this year just because I love reading the books. And maybe they'll help me, maybe they won't. I don't care. I just love reading the books. Um, but I love getting the knowledge from actually talking to people too. So I consume content every which way. I do it because it's fun. I engage on social media because I love debate. I like testing my ideas out. I feel like that's part of how I consume content is I get in arguments with people, and I like to argue as though I'm right. But if somebody shoots me down and proves me wrong, it's like I don't have a problem saying, "Oh, okay, I was wrong on that one," and changing my mind about things. So to me, the exchange of ideas, I love getting it all one way from videos, books, everything. But I think the funnest way to consume content, so to speak, is going on social media or talking to somebody in person and getting into a debate about something or just sharing information.
Yeah, I love that. I even have a hater GPT nowadays that is criticizing me and that lowers my egos down and is getting me used to confrontation. I think we're all naturally gonna spike in cortisol when someone is against us or insult us, quote unquote. But yeah, practicing that with a hater GPT makes you somewhat more flowy, right?
Mhm.
How are you leveraging AIs nowadays in either your personal life or in business to improve your stats?
I struggle a bit with AI. I have used it for I use it for research when I'm creating content. For example, I'm working on a business plan right now, and I wanted to have a list of people that were people that I would invite to participate in this business. It's a school, it's a private school. And so I was saying, here are people that I would like to bring in as guest speakers. And so I used GPT, and it helped me put that list together. It helped me create short bios for those people, and it helped me find all the links associated with them, Instagram, LinkedIn, and etc. And so within a few minutes, I'm able to create this bulleted list that I could copy and paste and put in my business plan. And that would have taken me 6, 7, 8 hours to put together using just Google and copying and pasting stuff. So that's a place where I can really see the value of AI is in creating that kind of content. Now, when I go to write a book, I don't do that because if I might do that if I'm doing research, like, hey, find me a list of this or help me come up with some ideas for what I might include here. But I find that if I go and I say, hey, write this paragraph for me or write a page about this or give me a chapter on this, the stuff that comes back is not what I would write. And so I wish there were a GPT out there that could help me ghostwrite a book, for example, but I feel like it's not quite there. It's not good enough for me to be able to look at it and say, that's what I would write. Now, I think you can definitely write a good book using ChatGPT or AI, but I don't know. I enjoy the craft too much, and I'm too particular and picky about exactly the wordsmithing and how I say things. And I just feel like there's no way that AI can get that. Not yet. Now, maybe if I write 20 books and I can feed those all into ChatGPT, maybe it'll be able to spit something out that sounds like me, that I look at and I'm like, wow, that sounds like I wrote it. And that's what I would actually say. It just doesn't seem to be there yet. As far as the rest of my business, my people are using AI. So we've got paid search people. They're using AI to help them write ads for clients, and they're using AI to develop graphics for clients. It's the same with coding. You can use AI for coding, which is amazing to me, that you can say, hey, give me this snippet of code to do this on the website, and it can spit out that code. But so it's speeding up the process of getting websites done, of doing marketing for clients. But I still feel like we're in such early days. I feel like I'm almost 15 years old. Or 50 years old. When I was a kid, we had Atari. That was video games, was Atari, and we played Pong and these really simple Space Invaders games and stuff. I feel like that's where we're at with AI today. As amazing as AI is, I feel like we're in such early days with this. This is 1997 internet. That's where we're at. In 10 years from now, we're going to look at AI and be like, oh man, remember when we would just go like type stuff in and we'd get like a list of stuff, or it would help us with our content or planning a trip, and like, look at what we're doing now. And I don't think we really know what we're going to be doing with it 10 years ago, but I think it's going to be amazing when we look back.
Love it. Josh, where can we find out more about you and your company?
JoshSteimle.com, STEIMLE.com.
Love it. That was Lee and Charles Cormier for